Long day lay low. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode. Get to know your creator. I'm Jason Bascom. Angela Curry might be here, might not. I don't know. Thought she said she was able to do it. But we're determined. We're determined to get quality, cool books. Hey, there she is. Out in your hands. Determined to get these campaigns funded. Yeah, and then speak of El Diablo. It's Angela. What's going on, Angela?
Not much. How are you?
Oh, there you are. Okay, yeah, I'm okay. Got home like 10 minutes ago. Didn't get home all that long ago, so had to rush to get this set up. So, yeah, yeah, that's why. Also, we'll get to the guy we got on in a second. But that's why I kind of don't DM whenever I'm out and about because the sun and the screen and I can't see it and I just get mad. So I didn't DM you to let you know, hey, running a little late today. So yeah, but hence to me to say hey, no link yet. That's why. But
okay.
But you're here. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good because the show wouldn't be the show without Angela Curry. So. And speaking of the show, we got a great show today. We got a great dude, a friend to the channel, a friend of ours, a friend of mine, and he's been in this a while. We got there he is, the great Rex. What's going on, Rex?
Hey, Rex.
Hey.
He was there. What'd you turn your camera off for? Why are you hiding?
They got my smile. That's all they need.
There you go. They got to see that background, my friend.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I'm going to redo this background one of these days.
Why? It's iconic.
Is it? Well, I used to
think
change
so.
it up, believe it or not, just about every day, every other day. I don't know.
Really?
It's due for a redo, just a little shifting around.
Oh, shifting around. So you're not going to change the entire format of it.
No, I'm going to the shower will definitely be there. Most people ask me about the shower.
Yeah, we'll get to the shower in a second.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen that before.
He's got a shower right there.
And, I've seen you in the chat. I had no idea you were co-hosting with Jason.
Thanks, Rex.
Yeah.
Thanks for not watching my show.
I was going to say,
appreciate
clearly there's something amiss here.
Well, to be fair, I will. All right, Rex, I'll defend you. You usually are streaming when we're streaming because you do your do your 5 o'clock shadow. You can always watch replays, Rex. So I'm saying,
right, we are early today. Jason was nice enough to go to, and like he said, he only got. That's good because I only got up about 2 minutes ago.
Well, it works out. I guess it works out. Well,
I tried to rest today. Actually, today is the. Yesterday was big eventful day. The big launch.
It was. Congratulations. By the way,
cosplay and
she did a great job. Yeah.
I did see that. That was very on point.
Yeah, Shay did a fantastic cosplay, fantastic job, and having the flu on top of that, so she did a wonderful job. And and we're gonna get to everything, but in the meantime, Angela, we got a great chat going on. Let's say hi to the chat.
Yeah, first one in here looks like Leg Kick.
Yo, what's up, Leg Kick?
Hey, Leg Kick.
See you, man.
We got Adam here. Hail, Adam. Haldir. I think I got it down. It's Haldir. Cheers, Haldir. And then we got Tokume.
Tokume.
I think it's Japanese.
Well, it's Seth. Yeah, you can call him Seth.
I'm going to call him Seth. I hope he's okay with that. So, cheers
to
you.
Well, that's his
Seth.
name, so I think it's okay.
Some people don't.
You're right.
Like he came after Kane. Seth was a replacement.
He was.
He's been around
He's the better son. He's the better son.
Yes, he was.
This is Hockey. What's up, Hockey?
Hail, Hockey.
She's still in the house. Cheers. And then we have this person right here. His name's Noah. Hi, Noah.
The legend.
Wow.
So
we got Noah.
And then another legend. So many legends today. We also have Rick Saylor in the house.
Hail, Rick Saylor, my friend. Welcome, sir. Great chat. We're also streaming Facebook, so if you're over there watching, make sure you hit that like button if you please. And to get, if you don't want to listen to any of this garbage and gobbledygook, you can always check Rex's campaign out, Devil Flyer. It's pinned to the top of the chat as well as in the description below. But please stick around. Like I said, I know you have your stream that you do called the 4 o'clock shadow, right? 4 o'clock shadow.
4 o'clock shadow, yeah.
So yeah, and which you're mountain time or whatever. So you're actually an hour behind me. So that's why I'm 4 Eastern right now. Or
Jason's in the future.
I am in the future. I am the future, my
there's
friend.
Nothing when I'm on topic list and they say you're 10 minutes behind. That just means I'm 50 minutes early. Or
nice try, Rex.
Nice try. I'm actually I'm in the way past, so I get very confused with time changes.
It's okay. Yes, you do quite often.
Now, where are you at? Where are you at, Angela?
I'm in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay, yeah, it's totally screwy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much for PST is what it is. But
and that's the thing. Like, we got Adam and Hockey in the chat. They're in Australia, so we got a lot of different time zones that we go to.
Is international.
Well, indie comics in general is international as well.
Is international.
Yeah. So, and speaking of which, Rex, what got you into like all of this? What made you be like, hey, I want to crowdfund a comic book? Like, I mean, you're an avid collector, so like, what got you started into that? Like, how did you first get your grips into comics?
Oh well, I've been making my own comics. I mean, homemade comics since I was a young boy.
Cool.
I guess you could say thievery.
Rex.
My cousin had this dope. It might have been cartoons. I don't know. The exact time. I don't even think I was reading comics at the time. In fact, when Blockbuster Video came in, like the 90s, like 1990, the early 90s. They started releasing things that hadn't been seen since the 60s, like the Marvel Comics cartoons.
Oh, yeah,
I would say I definitely got to see that. So anything to do with superheroes by that time. I was newly married to my first wife and had 3 children, 2 adopted, one biological, and I would take these things home, and I wouldn't necessarily know individual shows, but I would know the openers. Anybody that's seen like Johnny Quest, of course, Johnny Quest, I remember that one, but because the Marvel cartoons were not that memorable, and I'm just saying that I was exposed to superheroes and enjoying them in the 60s when I was like in front of the TV, 2 years old, or 1 year old. And and that was to me the golden age of cartoons, because you had Johnny Quest, you had Herculoids, you had Birdman, you had Ghost. Alex Toth worked for a great comic book artist that went way back, which I didn't even know this, and he worked for Hanna-Barbera. I don't even know how long, over 20 years. I know because he was with Super Friends in the 70s, all the way up into the 80s. And
didn't Kirby do a little bit of Popeye or something like that?
Oh yeah, Kirby did. He was a fill-in artist. That's what he started as. He drew as a kid. He used to draw on walls. He grew up, in sort of the immigrant area in New York, and he would draw as a kid, like on walls. And his mom was like, "Oh, and he always drew, from a very early age. And he started out as a fill-in artist is, to make the movements flow, the in-between. They would get the main movements down, and he would draw the in-between. He started as an in-betweener. He also did he did like 2 episodes, I believe, of Scooby-Doo. which are like, now, did he sit and animated? No, he didn't, like he did on Popeye. He would be like what they call like a creator. They would use his designs like a creative designer, and he would design the stuff. He also did like a Fantastic Four in the late 70s, I think about 77, Star Wars year. And then because they had a Fantastic Four cartoon then. And then Alex Toth that worked for Hanna-Barbera, he was slated to do, from what I understand, Thunder the Barbarian, but he didn't do it, and Jack Kirby did it. So he was in animation like boom, 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 you know.
Right.
But Kirby was like, I will do anything that makes me a buck. I just want to provide for my family. That's kind of the old sweatshop, you know, and Greatest Generation. He went off to World War II.
I mean, Kirby's great.
The artist did
a lot.
Like, yeah.
What's up, Henry? So would you say the cartoons were your introduction to the comics then? Like that got you into the comic books at like a younger age and you started collecting around then? Or did you like take you a while to get to navigate? Like, oh, there's actual like
it did take me a while. I mean, I think in 1974, and they did reprint the material. I'm just looking around here.
I'm sure you got format. Something over there.
Golden. Oh, here it is.
Yep. There you go.
In fact, my very first one's reprinted in this Vampire Tales.
Oh wow!
Number 5 was the issue, and it actually
was that your first comic that you bought?
Yeah, well, it was first Marvel magazine, and this is like gruesome stuff that was in it.
What year is
from
this?
Count Yorga.
But you bought that as a kid? When you were a kid, you bought that?
Yes, I begged.
Wow, you're buying that gory graphic stuff when you were younger.
I was into monsters, and you got like Bela Lugosi, and look here, from like Dark Shadows,
Wow.
You know,
I was going to say, do you want to say what year this is or that date you are?
I believe it's 1974. That was my first Marvel anything, and that had like Pablo Marcos. Here's the cover right there in color.
That's really
so sweet. That was the cover, 75 cents. Nice. And beautiful painted cover.
Yeah.
Into, and my father's like, you really want to? Because, it was sad photos. It had Val Merrick. It had creators like Val Merrick that I would later read his Living Mummy stuff. He did a lot of Marvel's Valiant. I mean, and it had Christopher Lee, like a shot from one of his movies there.
Sweet.
Nice. And that was my first Marvel anything besides the cartoons that were back in the 60s. And then I had a neighbor that broke his leg, and that was when you put a big plaster cast. He was laid up all that summer. He was like, it itches. He had this
coat hanger type thing.
Coat hanger.
Yeah.
Not good. You get it infected and you get gangrene in there. But yeah, I never have broken a bone, so I don't know how that feels. But because I saw him do it, I saw my brother do it twice, and I said, I don't want to do that. It looks painful. So I've been fortunate. Now, with that said, I ran under a combine when I was 8. I've turned over a gas truck in 1990 with 2,000 gallons of gas. Now, I was just the passenger.
Wow.
I wasn't we went over. I knocked the gear shift off with my knee as I flew across the driver tried to hold me up as long as possible as we kind of eked over, and one spark and we would have been gone. But and I've ran off the road going at high speed and fishtailed my vehicle 12 times before I got it back on the. I'm a pretty good driver, but.
Speaking of one spark and you might be gone, you had a tragic thing happen with you with one spark and some things were gone. You lost some stuff in the fires, right?
Yeah, 1997, I lost my first collection. And 45 long boxes of comics are replaceable because it's printed material. No matter how rare it is, even if it was an Action Comics #1.
Yeah, but it still sucks, man.
But no, this is why it sucks. This is what sucks. I had a page a very iconic page from John Byrne with all the little Avenger heads that you see up at what I call the Ditko box. In up in the corner of a comic, and they would put the characters' heads up here. And I say Ditko box. This had been done before. I've seen examples in the 50s where they would have a box up here.
Yeah, but I think it is. I think a lot of people do call it a Ditko box, though.
Yeah, Ditko really did that. He was the first one to use it, and it was Astonishing Tales number 60. And that Ditko also brought in the Hulk becomes the Hulk when he gets angry, because at first when the Hulk came in, it would be because it became nighttime. It's kind of like
a werewolf type deal,
like a werewolf,
or vampire. Yeah.
At first, but he was the one to change that and make it in Astonishing Tales number 60, which I think that's probably a lower print book. And I do have a copy, but not in. I think it's an underrated Marvel book because it is an iconic book. Most people don't know that fact. When you know something, like I know this is ultra rare, because there's probably dollar bin books out there that shouldn't be dollar bin books, because I know the print run on them. There have been Marvel comic books that came out, like I'll give you an example, Marvel Saga. Now that was a reprint of like Marvel history. Excuse me. Usually when print runs go on toward the end of the print run, nobody's reading it and they lose interest, hence it's canceled. So some of those later issues can be worth more than, say, Spawn. Spawn, even Todd McFarlane says, why do people always bring me Spawn #1 to sign? There's millions of them out there, and everybody, it's not going to be rare with my signature on it, because I've literally signed tens of thousands of other things. Why don't they find something rarer? That's what he's saying. Why don't they find something rare for me?
Yeah, I have Spawn #4 signed, but I also have Spider-Man 300 signed, which Spider-Man 300 is going to be a little bit more rare, with a signature, even though, they weren't printing millions and millions and millions of copies back then, like Spawn #1. So, and #4 is just an odd book to get signed by him, but it's a cool cover.
Yeah, I like getting odd stuff signed by, because especially rare stuff, like like Marvel Saga toward the end of that run, 3,000 copies was the print run. Now that's minuscule for Marvel Comics or any comic creator.
Dude, that's even like an indie book does that nowadays sometimes. So,
and how do I know the print run? Well, they used to periodically print once a year the print run, but that's not the reason why. Although that helps determine how many copies are out there. Actually, there's big, thick, like Sears catalog of comics. They used to come out, and they did it for 4 years, and then on the 5th year, they put it on disc. That's the only one I don't own, damn it. But I own the physical ones. And comic, let's see, comic book, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Anyway, they would put in Comics Buyer's Guide, Comics Buyer's Guide, Price Guide.
Yeah, Overstreet Price Guide.
It was a big catalog-like thing. One had a Wolverine cover one year, and one had a, because if you like Wolverine, you're going to like that. But I think that was the 3rd or 4th one they came out with. But
Aaron talks about that book.
They had print runs. Where the print run was available, they would tell you the print run. And that's why I know that some of these are extremely, and that's why I collect them, because they're extremely rare.
Right. And a low print run does help, but also like being a key issue, like the first appearance of a character or the death of a character. Like if you had a key issue on top of a low print run on top of that, because it's 70s.
That's what these are for kids. That's what I try and infuse in. It's like the rookie card, in a Topps rookie card or Leaf or whatever flair. I used to collect cards. I've collected everything. Pez. Big Pez collector.
Oh yeah, I know you got a huge Pez collection.
Yeah, big Pez collection. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool though, man. It's good to collect different.
Oh, here's a one of a kind. I like this is a custom made Grinch that someone made.
Nice.
Really?
I don't know how they did it, but I bought this on eBay years ago for like $45. Since then, they have released one when from I guess Jim Carrey's movie or something.
Yeah.
Just a few years
ago.
That's
pretty cool.
Plus, they did a little dog, and they did a little Whoville girl.
And that's the thing, though, as comic book collectors, you get interested in collecting other things. I mean, it's still comic themed, but I collect the Batman black and white statues and stuff like that. So we get into the collecting habit. We're almost like hoarders in a way, Like
when I was born and living in the La Saxe Cays in France, and we were painting on the walls, and we go out and look at the bison on the.
Shut up, Rex.
And
Shut up, Rex.
No, I did.
He's talking about the cave paintings that were first.
Accuses me of being old because I'm like Carrot Top. I have
white. Here's the thing, Rex. Not only that, it's your vast wisdom and knowledge of like things like you can pick, like you just said, the Ditko thing, which first appeared in Astonishing Tales #6. It's that is why it's more of a wisdom thing that makes you seem like you're older when you're really not. Like you're not 80 or anything, but your knowledge is so vast. Like it really is something to behold and something that's really amazing.
If I'm old, Billy Tucci is old because he's my age, and Dan Lawless is old because he's my age. Not
right. And that's the thing, though. But look at Billy is also a well of knowledge on comics and stuff like that. So it's more or less something that's as to where we pick on. Like, look, R.T. Bear probably painted those cave paintings, in all honesty. But
I
you're not.
I'm 5 years younger than Art, and I'm 2 years younger than Aaron Lopresti. I never experienced any "you're old, Rex" till I got on the internet a couple years ago, and then they're like, "Man, you're old."
Well, also you're hanging out with people that are in their mid 40s.
I don't feel old.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you're hanging out with people in their mid 40s. So even if you're like 5 years older, you're gonna be mocked. Like you're gonna be called old because we're young bucks, even though we're really not. We're middle-aged men.
I looked like this handsome man right there with a beard and everything. If you remember, is all white.
Yeah, you had a beard. Yeah.
But it made me look old, and I shaved it off months ago. And
or you could like some dye it really jet black.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
I never have dyed.
I'm kidding.
I don't.
Please don't.
Yeah, that
was a joke. I actually think go on.
I was just going to say, to get back and dig into my origins, because I do like telling that story. How did I get into comics? It's like I've always been a fan, but I say always, not really. I picked up that I was into monsters, and I always wanted to see, we get Scholastic stuff, and I go, oh, there's King Kong, and I want to see that. And of course, I had no control over that, and we only had 3 channels: CBS, NBC, and ABC.
Knobs that you had to turn. We had one of those TVs with the knobs that you had to turn.
I would get Memphis, being here. I would get Memphis on 13 for certain channels, PBS, but that was it. That's all we had. If we wanted to, get the remote and change it, hey kid, go over there and turn the dial.
The kid was the remote.
Furniture. Nobody stole TV sets because they were so darn heavy. They were a piece of furniture.
That is true.
I remember going from, I was young, but I remember going from black and white to color. And I remember when in the early 90s, when they did start putting this stuff out on VHS tapes, that used to be a recording type thing, people, that I was going, I've seen this cartoon, but I don't remember it in color. In my mind, my memory, because we had a black and white TV set, that's the way I remember it,
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody knows that, like, except Noah in the chat. Like, most of us that hang out here are middle-aged. I mean, my audience does go from, like, I think my key demographic is, like, 18 to 35 or something like that. That's, like, my main viewers. So maybe they haven't. But even, like, the active chat, like, is our age. So, except Noah. Yeah. But, so they might remember VHSs and stuff. But those old cartoons being in black and white, they they didn't know that they, initially were probably. So yeah.
I was thinking the 80s is kind of
some were done in black and white.
Right, and then they recolored them. Yeah.
Well, maybe it was a recoloring, because I mean, in the early 80s, they were. Remember, it was a big controversial thing about 85, 86. Ted Turner had come out with his channel. He was so smart. I was in college then, but he bought the vault of all that backlog of entertainment and put it and just showed it again after many, many years. And he started colorization of classics, though, like Laurel and Hardy, and it was horrible when it came out. Pasty looking. Now they do it digitally and have such a palette.
And they remaster it.
Colorization really helps,
right. So you're into the monster stuff, and you got to see all that stuff. So what gravitated you, like, because I mean, your characters that you created, they do have a superhero element to them. Like, I could see the monster influence there, but there's still a superhero element. So obviously you gravitated more towards heroes at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still doing the monster thing. There's Bog.
You got the Bog and stuff like that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, we'll get to him. That's what I did recently. Yeah. And I actually, he was what I was going to lead off with. I said, I got to pick something. And monsters are a little bit forgiving, I mean, I've got, I don't want to jump ahead, but I got to show this. I don't show this all the time, but this is the color guide to Avengers #4.
Wow.
And
you got some great stuff.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, I mean, this is a one-of-kind thing, just production artwork. And usually this stuff was shredded, burned, destroyed, rarely kept. I mean, it might be kept on file for a while.
Where did you get that? How did you get a hold of that, Rex?
Like I say, when it comes to collecting, never say never. A friend gave it to me.
There you go.
Yeah, and they got it off eBay, believe it or not, eBay. And when I found out he had it up for resale and people watching it. And I said, and all I had to say was, if I had that, I would never get rid of it.
Right. Well,
and he said, okay, it's yours. And I was like, okay.
Well, and you
because I'm an Avengers fan.
And you frequently do show off quite a lot of stuff on your channel, so everybody go subscribe to Devil Flyer Momentum on YouTube, and you get to see some of his stuff. It's
My neighbor broke his leg, and I bought about 5 or 6 comics from him. He was going to sell them like a year later, so they were like 1975, I think. And before I really started collecting, I don't think they were the earlier 25 centers. Because when I started collecting, they were 25 cents, believe it or not, plus tax, with a couple of pennies. And I bought that bundle from them. Loved them. Didn't know it would say next issue, kind of like a movie serial, a soap opera. Didn't know that there was another issue. Really, it didn't register with me. I didn't know how that worked. My grandfather was in the hospital. And we went to the pharmacy, and my mother might have even went over there. While you're there, you look at the comics. You could leave kids unattended in public at one time. You could leave your front door to your house unlocked.
Oh,
you could leave your vehicle unlocked. People trusted each other by and large.
Right.
Society wasn't so screwed up, at least around here. So anyway, I had been exposed to comics by that point a little bit, you know,
with the monster comics, stuff like that.
Since he was in the hospital, and then I just, I had some time there. 30 minutes, whatever, looking at the rack. Look at these comics, it's like George Perez Avengers 147. Open it up. I always like more characters, the better, because I thought,
Perez was
I could get one character, or I could get like 20.
Well, dude, when it came to that, though, George Perez was a master at putting like 15 characters in one little itty bitty panel. I mean, there's no better. So definitely a good person to look at whenever you first start.
My grandfather was still in the hospital. A couple of weeks later, all right, we go back to the pharmacy. I look again, George Perez, Avengers, early George Perez, by the way. captured my attention. So I bought another one, and I got out to the truck and I said, "Oh, this is the next issue to the comic I read a couple of weeks ago and have reread and loved so much. I'm going to collect every one from now on," I told my mother. And and that's what got me collecting.
Now, do you think, like, with that model of what the system of what they had back then, and I mean, it's still going on today, where it's a monthly type thing, like you bought the one book, you had to wait 30 days to get the next continuation of that story. I mean, now granted, they would usually have a full story in that one book, but it would lead into a bigger arc, and you would have to get the next issue to really kind of get that arc. Do you think that helps with like a memory retention in some way? Because I stopped collecting for a while, and I mean, my memory's garbage now practically. But do you think, like, because you're buying like 7 to 8 titles at a time, reading them all, and then the next month you had to remember what happened in each one of those 7 to 8 titles as you're reading the next one every month? Do you think that maybe helps with the memory retention in some way?
I forgot the question. What?
Holy mother of all that is good. You're funny. You're a funny man. You're a funny guy, Rex.
That was good.
But I'm old, you know.
Well, here's the other thing, though. That almost could possibly be real, because there's plenty of times whenever you're on a stream with us and you're like, "Oh, I don't know what just happened." So that could have been real.
I don't know. Maybe he just answered your question by, not.
Yeah.
I mean, with
actually,
age,
I have a superior
age
memory.
Happens.
I can remember back, and I've actually had people call me liar. That I'm lying, that I can remember back to when I'm 2 years old. And yet before my grandmother died, and she died in like 95, it's been a long time now, but she lived to like be 95, 96, and her sister did too. Wow. My aunt. I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, memory retention. Yeah, I have a great memory. I'm starting to lose it now, but no, I can remember these early things.
Yeah.
You got to understand, I've been here in Arkansas where culture is the 1800s, even in the 20th century. It was not quite that bad, folks, but TV was the window to the world. Mm-hmm. And you had go to California with the Beverly Hillbillies and the Monkees and all the California beach scene and the girls. And I did in 1969 when I was 3.5 years old. I went to California and it was the place to be. Did
you drive or did you?
No, we flew. Yeah. I flew at like 3.5 years old. We went out to California. I've got pictures of me collecting shells on the beach, a shark coming up and taking my leg off nearly. Nice. I beat him down. It was a lot of fun. And I amazed my family. I said to my uncle, they lived on the beach, my aunt and uncle. I said to Tom, who passed away a couple of years ago, I had most of my adopted family die. I had two uncles and an aunt and ex-employer that I worked for like 6 years. And some very close people died just about 2 years ago. And but I would amaze him. I would say, I was so young, you had a cinder block step up, but even with that, I was so small, you had to pick me up to put me in. You had bean bags as seats. You had like the beady, instead of doors, you had beads that you went through. That was the 60s, you know? Yeah. I remember we flew and I left my little, don't want to stand up too much here.
What are you doing?
Here. Troll doll. Trolls.
Yeah?
Troll dolls. So I left my troll doll and cried, and my mother bought me another one. It had a different hair color. It looked a little different. I don't know how they got away with that because they have no clothes. Some of them had clothes, but little naked, but they're not articulated yet.
Is there a bottle end to this story? What's happening?
I'm just saying that I had a great memory. I remember those things. I remember the pilot.
Right, and I'm not talking about short-term memory is different than long-term memory, obviously. And that's where that monthly scale comes into play. That's a long-term memory issue where you're going to remember that. It's kind of like books, though, in general.
Come on the show. You're supposed to me out.
Yeah, but that's short-term. Well,
That's short term. That's what I'm
short term. But so like that's even with books though. Like, you know, you buy like Dragonlance, the first Dragonlance book, and then you'd have to wait a long time to get the second one. You know what I mean? It's still reading, remember attention as far as a novelette type series goes, because even TV was a weekly thing. And now you got things like TikTok or whatever, where it's like, you know, 60 seconds, boom, next video, boom, next video. Like it's instant.
I like to binge watch. I think society was at a slower pace. So if it was a slower pace in the, you know, say 60s and 70s, and you can tell that with the pacing of like TV, of, you know, and even as you go back, I'm a big Charlie Chaplin and silent film person. And you can tell you had to put yourself back in that era. You know, something that I did forget, Jason, was I was 12 years old when I watched Star Wars, but I remember it was the 33rd week. Think about that. It had been in the theaters for 33 weeks. I think Mom finally got us on a Saturday on the weekend. That was another thing. I was a Disney kid, early Disney, when Disney was safe in the 60s and 70s. Some would say it's never been safe, but anyway, Kurt Russell, Jodie Foster, all those, I grew up with them. They were childhood stars, you know, long before they did Hannibal Lecter or anything else, you know, Silence of the Lambs. I was watching Jodie and Kurt do Disney movies. And, you know, when Jungle Book came out, my mother would do it, and it was fun. It was an event. You would go. It was something to do on the weekend. Get out of the house for her,
right,
and do with the young child pre going to school, right? And you would go, and at least in my theater, which was a tri-theater, had 3, you know, movies. That was it. You know, later expanded to 14, whatever. And we'll never see the likes again. You know, where people line up for a year and a half, 2 years to watch Star Wars. We'll never see that again. That was a one in a lifetime event, if you think about it.
Well,
because now there's home streaming. You don't have to line up to see this in the nor do they want it to run that.
They don't. Well, the other thing is they also don't. People don't want to wait in the theater whenever, like, even if it's only in theaters, exclusively in theaters, the new Star Beyond guy thing.
But
they don't care. They won't want to go see it. They'll want to wait till it comes out and streaming.
I said that to say this is that when I watched a documentary on YouTube, I said that's exactly what happened to us. I had forgotten the fact when the Millennium Falcon goes into hyperspace for the very first time, the audience went in this documentary and in the theater I was in, packed.
Hey, Lord Liam,
sat all the way to the back with my mother and my cousin, and they the Millennium Falcon went into hyperspace, and everybody went, ooh. Why? Because it was brand new. We'd never seen anything like that.
Now,
it was like King Kong in Ray Harryhausen and Ray Bradbury's time in the 30s. They had never seen a giant monster look so realistic. The reveal, and it's just a little puppet with rabbit fur. And they were saying it's so realistic that you can see his hair bristle. All that is where they move the model and get it on film, you know?
Right, but that's the thing, though. It still was real, though, because it was a real puppet. Now it's digitally put in, and there's a disconnect because you know it's not even real in the slightest.
You don't trick your
so you're just like, whatever. Even if it looks like real, it looks immaculate. You're still like, yeah, that's fake because it is fake. It's not even a tangible thing.
Working Yoda, that looked better on film than the digital Yoda. It just does.
Yep.
You know,
I agree.
Now they could I think you get the best of both worlds when you do practical models and a little digital
combo,
trickery.
like Jurassic Park did. Jurassic Park did like a bunch of like traditional puppetry and stuff like that with mixed in with CG, and it made it believable. Like you were like, oh, there's a T-Rex running at me. You know.
Now I guarantee you, if like the Starship Enterprise does it on TV every week. If it streaks off and goes into hyperspace, don't think a thing about it. But when we first saw the Millennium Falcon do it, everybody in the theater went, ooh.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
We've not seen it. It's like,
and
wow, that's groundbreaking.
there's nothing fully new anymore. Like everybody's, especially like you got video games, which I love all these things. Video games are great. Don't get me wrong. Like social media, it can be used as a fantastic medium. It's rehashed, but people are so inundated with all of it. It's in your face constantly, 24/7. You get desensitized to anything that's, even if it's new, it's not new. You're just like, whatever. I could just make that on my phone. Well,
now. Star Wars is Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Buster Crabbe.
No, he was influenced by several things. But that's just like comic. Go ahead, Angela. Angela, go ahead and say.
No, I was going to say, like, for instance, the new Dune movie that was, like, Lord Liam mentioned. Mm-hmm. I was really curious, like, for instance, those sandworms, like how, like that whole thing. I mean, as much as, there's nothing new, but how is this creator going to like share or show that whatever that is? Like, I'm curious to see how they do it. And the way they did it was spectacular. To the point where I'm like, I got to go see that in the theater. Like, I don't want to I did, when I saw the first Dune movie, I saw it on my little TV and I'm like, I'm missing so much. We need to go to
Didn't David Lynch do the early 80s version?
David Lynch did David Lynch
did that all kind of practical, I think.
I never saw that one. That one was all practical.
It's good. It's darn good, I think.
But still, it looks new.
It introduced me to Dune. But now, see, you're acting like younger kids, Jason. You're like,
Jason,
I don't want that. That looks janky, and they throw away all this Wizard of Oz.
Okay, well, hold on though, Rex. I love the Flash Gordon is my jam. Like, that's my jams, and that's cheesy as all get out. I just don't know if I could watch the Dune one. You know what I mean? Like,
I might.
It's just it's a particular taste.
Nothing translates like the books, you know.
Nobody. I also wasn't a giant Dune fan anyway. Like, it's not like that was like something I was aching for. It was Dune. Like I never read the books.
Horror movies do not. Mike Barron said it right on my channel when he was talking about horror movies. Horror does not translate over into comic books that well.
Not that well.
It's not
it could be done. And the conditional shove was
done,
really
but
good,
you got to be really good with it and really
surprising. Bernie Wrightson, like you got to be Bernie Wrightson type art. You know what I mean? You got to like have that specific style and that mindset.
I think you got to be scarier than Wrightson. I think you got to really grab somebody and.
You could be there. There's a guy called Skinner. He does the art of Skinner. He does horror stuff
nowadays to shock people.
That's more graphic. Violent horror than anything. It's not really shock horror or suspense horror.
I think that's the only way to truly scare somebody with a comic book is maybe, or either that or electrify it somehow and give them a shock.
I mean, I'm more into like a noir or superhero stuff. I'm not. I never really got into like I don't even like Western comics. Although Wraith of God is pretty dope. But I was more into like just I grew up in the late 80s, 90s with comics. You know, I grew up during the superhero era, so you know it was kind of like where even though a lot of my stuff I do now,
image stuff,
like but I also, like everybody knows, me influenced by the arts that I'm influenced by, and
that's what it was for me. For you, it might have been Sam Keith and other image artists, but for me, it was like George Perez, John Byrne. Gil Kane, just different, you know. And at first I didn't know. I collected probably for half a decade before it really became in vogue. And then in the early 80s, it went to the direct market, and you started getting these superstars like Frank Miller, John Byrne, and then not only that, but in writing, you know, Roger Stern or you know. Different writers became prominent, and not only that, some colorists, you know, I mean, but and inkers. Primarily it was pencils, inkers, and writers.
It's primarily pencils, inkers, writers. And speaking of inking, writing, and penciling, you have a book.
Like 6480 said about the old Dune movie. He tried to watch it, fell half asleep in the halfway. You really have to put yourself back in the time era it was done, the culture. And that's what I'm saying. We don't have cultural memory of how it was, even if we lived through it. I was 12-year-old seeing Star Wars and a Millennium Falcon streak up, and everybody's like, ooh, brand new. But nowadays we don't think about that. We move on, right? And we kind of age out of certain things. We forget about the pacing of how the decade was, or the way we used to do things, right? Because it's becoming more, like Jason said, faster and faster. And but if you look back at the past, I wrote this down today, as a matter of fact. If you're fixated too much on the past, you may trip over your future. But with that said, we do need to look back at our past. We absolutely need to look at artists like Sam Keith, Frank Miller, and see what we can learn. Pick your favorite artist. I have, if you're going to ask me what is my book sensibility, well, it's kind of like, I don't want to date myself, but Bronze Age, 70s and 80s. Not that I didn't collect in the 90s. There's only been like 2 years I didn't collect.
Right. And well, that kind of gets me to your campaign, because it does have a 70s vibe to it. You know what I mean? Like, there is that sense of a kind of like that older style, that kind of like a nod to the heyday. You know what I mean? And was that, now, what's your book about? What is Devil Flyer about? What is the core element? What is it about?
Okay. Well, it's about comics. It's about,
the stories about comic books.
People like that. A lot of people like this foot on the gas pedal, quick 90s image type stuff, and this does have action in it. It's got the best that you love about comics. I get you into the action from the very splash page. It really is a splash page, because Devil Flyer's all chained up. He's in peril, just like an old movie serial. He's in peril when you turn that page. I remember turning that page and seeing Superman bound up and sinking under the water. It immediately immersed me, no pun intended, into the story. So that's what happens to Devil Flyer. And then you go to I do a Kirby switch on you. Kirby would go to these big 2-page spreads. He's overlooking the city on page 2 and 3. And by page 16, when he's thrown into the water, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Cool.
You totally forgot about what was on page 1.
Well, what's the core
into the water?
What's the overarching story in the first, like, what's the overarching story for Devil Flyer? Like, what's the core root
Devil Flyer,
of the
we're
plot?
in no rush here. We don't rush me because of the
well, I'm slightly rushing you because you do have a stream to get to, Rex.
No, I don't. You got me for as long as you want me. I can be late. I haven't even got it set up yet. Don't worry about that.
Anyway, well, what's the plot? What's the root of Devil Flyer?
Rushing along. Okay, the plot. Okay, so Devil Flyer was a character that I created back in 2017. I gave him, he's kind of a mashup character, right? I'm creating characters all the time, as you know, Jason. And I'm kind of, my co-host calls me the modern day Jack Kirby because I've got so many characters. But and if you don't know who Jack Kirby is, I'll pray for you. And I didn't really appreciate him when I came on the scene. But anyway, Devil Flyer is, I have to look off here because as long as you got that scrolling, it's going to distract me, just to be fair.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, thanks.
I'm here to please, Rex.
Okay, thank you. Devil Flyer is a man out of time. He was born in 1899. Why? Because I kind of wanted, even people like you and I, we were born in the 20th century, and we got to see the 21st century. So, and you could be born, say, in 1910 and not make it out of the 20th century, right?
Yeah.
so we really did something that a lot of people don't. We traversed into another century. Ooh, are we the first to do it? No, but and so I kind of wanted that, and Spawn was a big, believe it or not, Spawn was a big influence on Devil.
Okay.
I originally didn't want to go with this cover. We have a Golden Age color where he's like gray blue and with the green Spawn like energy, right? And that's what's more of the original concept. But then I thought, Devil Flyer, everybody wants to see the fire and more devils. So when I designed the cover with Dillard, we got the red and burgundy version that's there that everybody likes and is buying, and I leaned into the fire hellish, devil thing. And so his tail comes from Kurt Wagner, the Nightcrawler from X-Men.
Oh yeah.
He's kind of Hawkman wings, and hence he looks, and he had a trident. And so that's how I came up with the name. I looked at him, I thought Demon
Flyer,
cool
name,
Devil Flyer, and that's how I came up with the name. He
so
flies, he's got wings, he looks like a devil somewhat, so Devil Flyer.
So
he was born. Go ahead, Angela.
I'm just curious. So what? Because like when I see the first thing, I see a. I mean, he's a bird. Is he like he's a type of bird or?
Well, that's a helmet on a man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was born in 1899. Like, is he immortal then, or is he just like a longevity type thing?
It's
or is that something that you don't want to reveal? That's something.
It's kind of like Spawn, like he's resurrected.
Oh,
like
okay, cool.
Dead and come back like a force of nature. And
nice.
And so if I had to distill it down, I would say Nightcrawler because of the tail, which been it, in the Gothic, the devil had a tail.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So. And he's got a pitchfork, of course, but I tried it. He's, I would say Doctor Strange. I wanted a Doctor Strange sort of mystical type character, which is kind of strong because it's like he's Hawkman looking with the wings, right?
But he's still got that mysticism to him, that mystical
and he's got
magic
the helmet
element,
like Dr.
Fate. Yeah.
And Dr. Fate, he is an influence on this character as well because they ran a storyline where his helmet messed with his sanity, and this helmet here will mess with Devil Flyer.
Nice.
You don't really know if he's a hero or a villain, or somewhere in between. You will really know that with the next issue that comes out. You will really know. You will really be scratching your head. I thought he was a good guy. Now I'm not so sure.
Well, that's character development, and that's something that goes along with as the stories grow and grow. Now, this is how many pages?
48 pages, and on this cover here, you got and we designed this together, and it was based on an old Atom cover where the current Atom was knocking the Golden Age Atom through the cover. And John said, well, if you wanted to go epic, if you wanted it, you said you wanted an epic cover, what would you want on it? And I'm like, gosh, how do you narrow it down? There's so many great things. But I knew, so I'm looking at comics down here at my feet and stuff, and I find that Atom cover. And I said, we could do a burst through cover. And then, and then that led into, could we singe it, make it look like he's burning through? I've never seen that done before, although I'm sure it has.
And getting John Dillard to draw it, you got definitely a top tier cat. Dillard's amazing. He's a friend of ours over here, and we
love Dillard.
Everybody go check out Dillard Draws on YouTube. Great guy.
Yeah, he's got 14 of my characters on this cover.
Script Battle on Wednesdays. That's right. But no, a great guy. You got a lot of great talent on this book. With cover artists and interiors and stuff. So it's 48 pages. Is it all focused on Devil Flyer? Because you said you have a lot of characters. What's the gist of the interiors?
Well, they're all one and done stories, and the original thing was, I got together with my John Fernandez here. He's my neighbor from down, a couple blocks away. I just happened to move into his neighborhood about 10 years ago, and I've known him since 1982, and he's always worked in the graphics. There's the splash page there, A Devil's Weapon, because
did he do these interiors? Did he do these interiors then?
He did the interiors. He did the Golden Age watercolor cover. He did the trading card, which is the first stretch.
Yeah. Further down there, which like I was saying, you could see he's influenced by that Golden Age style.
He
like,
was a DC guy. He and
this has a very Golden Age vibe to it. Like it has an older style to it.
And I had kind of forgotten that, and then when I first came on the scene a couple years ago in 2021, the latter part of 2021 on the internet, which was in November 2021. With Red Valkyrie, and then I got on with Don Chen at the 1st of December, and I got on Pop XP with Billy Tucci and Niles about this.
Cool.
And it was all about the ash can, and they were, and I was coupled on Pop XP with another Kickstarter guy that was doing the Golden Age Jam stuff, and that set me apart, the style, because they thought this looked pretty Golden Age. I had not really even considered it, because I'm just used to John's work, but you're right. It does look more Golden Age in tone.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a bad thing. Like you said, you started off in that earlier, like you didn't start off golden, maybe silver age, but you still started off in that earlier age, and this kind of harkens back to those days, which like I think Jay Lee had done what was it, Century, and in it he kind of built the Century up from like the golden age up to like current age, and it was like he had to change his styles out, and it was dope, and it was a nice harken back to those days of like what comics kind of used to be, and this is a good nod to it, I think, with you starting this off, because like stylistically this book has changes throughout it, because as you say, it's not all like Devil Flyer, there's other stories in here,
right?
So
and what I did is I thought, with the crowdfunding crowd, you kind of have to get some street cred, you kind of have to get known, and that's what I've been doing the last couple of years. I do occasionally stream. You got to
occasionally stream,
so I occasionally stream. Jason,
only every day.
I'm always streaming 24/7. And thank God it's leap year. I get one more day.
Oh, thank goodness!
I know.
Another
right?
So funny.
And so I mean, I've tried to put in the stuff that I know about comics, and I've got the Marvel. He's got the DC, like he's got in the background on one of those interior pages. If you look back there, he's got on one of those pages, in this double page spread above this one, that's where he's looking over modern day Chicago. This alludes to his history there. He's shot in the neck, he's bleeding out, and he's kind of in a lucid, shattered haze. You got broken glass everywhere. He's just crashed. He's just subdued a couple of people, and they went back. I think you saw that panel above, right there. She's crashed. The sniper has crashed through the window, and there's glass everywhere. And then he comes in on another page, and he's shot in the neck. So then I used this disjointed, and that was the 2 pages that after I had thumbnailed the whole thing out, and he was already doing the artwork for it, I said, John, I know you're almost done with the book, but I want to add 2 more pages alluding to his origin, in a disjointed fashion with just some cool imagery. And in fact, on that other page below where you see that disjointed imagery, where he's going, up there in the corner, and he made him bald, for some reason, but he's like, that is actually a Marvel 2-in-1 cover. That nice. George Perez did. Nice. And that's where that imagery came from. But
that's cool.
He's doing some funky things there, like he's falling through time, what do you call it?
It's hourglass?
Hourglass, thank you. As the hours, the days of our lives. He's falling through an hourglass to this book, and this is all alluding to things that'll come later and his past.
Well, I want to get to this also. Isn't this magazine sized?
It is magazine size. When you look at this artwork, you have to say that he drew it the size of a comic book. He had 2 eye surgeries. He's almost 72 years old. he may be 73 by now because it's been a couple of years since we worked on this. He actually finished this in early 2023, maybe.
Nice. How much of this book is this entire book is
22? Huh?
How much of this entire book is done then?
About 85%.
Wow,
of the book
nice.
is done.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's the Devil Flyer story. He got done in about a year and a month, and it was the lettering that put the month on there because he did the art, the inks, and the lettering.
Right, so the Devil Flyer arc of this book is done. Like we said, because here's another. So this is an anthology book, right? This has more than one story in it.
You know, they're all related stories, but with different characters, and they're all going to be rolled in.
Right, but it's still more than one story in the entire, collection of the comic. So
I guess starting out here, it's kind of anthology, but what the plan is I will eliminate a backup story every issue, giving more room for the other stories and more character development. And the world's being threatened. They don't know it yet. And he's on kind of a redemption, salvation arc. And at the same time, he sees this grave threat that's kind of controlling him. But for every good deed he does, he has to do something for the evil guy too. So his soul is not his own,
Right.
So he's kind of an anti-hero in some regard.
Well, maybe he's like he's did a pact with the devil like Faust.
Well, you'll have to back it and find out.
That's right.
That's
Read
a good
my
point,
book to find out.
But Devil Flyer, the character Devil Flyer, is the main character in your universe because you are building what you call the Momentum universe, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Devil Flyer is the main like focal point of it, but you're branching off with other
wheel.
Yeah. Right, but you're branching off then. In this book, you're kind of introducing other characters that will branch off to their own stories, maybe own books at one point. But these are just
you're testing
introduction.
The waters, who's going to become popular. But at the same time, he will meet all these characters and these other, even if it's told like horror title, like Grave Tales here, which is more horrific tale of a child killing clown.
Oh my goodness.
That a bog monster stops, in the end.
Yeah, like the bug.
And then we're doing a more cosmic story, which is featured at the bottom. This is Doc Blaylock artwork.
This right here is Doc Blaylock?
This is Doc Blaylock, and
yeah.
Grave Tales was Doc Blaylock, who did Pariah, Blood, and Mud. And he did this Grave Tales story for me back in 2022. And then now we're working on the last 8 or 9 pages of the book. And this is some of the artwork from it.
How many characters are you introducing in Devil Flyer? Is it the Grave and then...
Well, in the Ashcan, I introduced like 16 or 17.
Okay.
In this
many? I should say, how many stories are in the first Devil Flyer book? Because you got Devil Flyer, you got Grave.
Right now, well, I've got Devil Flyer. I've got John Dillard 2-page Inner Man story, who's featured on his front cover.
Right.
And I have Doc Blaylock's story that's done, except for a little spot coloring. And there's the trading card done by John Fernandez.
Oh, cool.
And here's kind of my mascot, a character like the Flash, like he's called Zigzag.
Hey, I like that.
He's kind of like the mascot character because that momentum, we're all about the speed. We're all about getting things rolling,
The way you talk, it sounds like it. Anyway, we're going to go over your tiers, Rex. We're going to go over your tiers.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I know you might think I'm rushing you along. I just like to keep these things in an hour or so, time frame.
Okay.
Is mainly what it is.
Okay.
I want to say one thing that I do appreciate that they're kind of one and done stories, particularly with kind of how this crowdfunding goes. Is a lot of times you'll get to an end of a book and you're left with a cliffhanger and you got to wait how many times or how long for the next one. So I do appreciate this concept.
Yeah, it is good to have one.
I mean, it's all in how you write it. Like I have a hero that is thrown into the past and you're like, yes, you want to read the next book, but it was a satisfying, complete story. There is a way to continue it with a cliffhanger to be continued. Now, it's been criticized with crowdfunding. You really can't do it the Marvel or DC way because that's kind of monthly, right? So I'm glad that this first issue is like 85% because now I can take you to the future in my next book. Right. In one story, 250 years, another story just slightly into the future. One set in 1959, the death of Silver Boa that's being done now. It's in the past, in our past, but it's in the future for the character. So that's how I kind of justify it, and it mixes it up.
Yeah, and you obviously, and then you have plans. Obviously, like it's a universe. You have plans for the stories and stuff, which is good because you're not stopping at this. You're introducing these characters, introducing these stories, and you're going to branch off.
This will be for this year. Yeah, next one launched this year, hopefully.
Nice. Well, that'll be dope, dude.
So, I've already got Devil Flyer covers for issue 6 done.
It's nice to be prepared. It's nice to be prepared.
Yeah. Well, you do this stuff ahead of time.
Yeah. So what's in this first tier here? What do we have?
Okay, so we have an artist bundle of all the preliminary artwork. Some of the stuff that's not going to be printed in the artist edition. A hardback artist edition. You got a Devil Flyer standee by John Dillard. You got the John Dillard cover, the John Falandes cover, and you got the Jimmy Reyes wraparound cover that he's currently working on, which sadly he didn't have done, and that's on me.
It happens.
It happens. And I said, no problem when it first started. We can introduce that at the next 30 days, hopefully, of the campaign. And we've got a bog tapestry, which I will be adding stuff to this on a daily basis. I do have the original artwork. It's done by Doc Blaylock. It is a tapestry, and the original artwork will be sold when the tapestry goes singularly.
So this is kind of like an all-in-one encompassing tier.
It's everything, yeah.
It's everything.
Plus all the stretch goes, yeah.
Plus,
and then some, because it's got all the Devil Flyer artwork file that I have. John wanted to keep the original pages, but he gave me everything else. I thumbnailed, and plus it'll have my thumbnails for Grave Tales and any other thumbnails that I have. Nice. As well, that of stuff that I did.
So this is like a one-off tier then, right? Like
it's a one-off tier, one of one. Yep,
1 of 1. Well, because but you're getting a complete experience when you pick up this tier. You're getting a
file about that big of just Devil Flyer preliminary. How you want to behind the scenes? How did he do this traditionally? Because he pasted up, he printed out and pasted up the lettering. He did it old school.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. The next tier here, what's this one?
You get all 3 books. You get the hardest edition, you get the standee, and you get the tapestry.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
The only thing different is you don't get that.
Well, yeah, you can't obviously. Yeah, you can't get the original art.
So now you'll get some of it reprinted in the back of the artist edition. Which,
very true.
If we fund more, we'll get a see-through acetate dust cover with the logo, and it's going to be black and white.
Wow.
Printed.
Spare no expense.
Right. And if not, we'll just print the color and logo, and it'll be black and white on there.
No, and yeah. You get a lot. You get a lot, Rex. You definitely do. You're giving them a good bang for their buck. And then at 25, you have the Dillard, the
John Dillard main cover, and then you got the Golden Age, and we'll probably put a 10-cent mark or something on that.
How do you choose?
And that right there, the original watercolor, I will be adding to the campaign. You can actually buy that cover artwork if you want it.
There you go.
Nice. I do have that.
You get the Jimmy Reyes cover, obviously.
Jimmy Reyes are all available at 25. Coming here pretty soon. Can't wait.
And you have a sketch cover for people like
for you, Jason. I know you and Shelby,
and
Dan Pleagle,
Art and Times of J. Ryan,
and I want this. I want to be drawing my characters on blank Devil Flyer covers.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, I backed, but I'll have to back again because the times are tough, right?
And I'm gonna. It is, Jason, and I'm gonna get with you. And I know Shelby knows. He's dealt with a lot of these blank covers. What kind of paper is best for a blank cover? And we will get the very best that you guys like to draw on for this
120 pound cardstock.
Okay,
that's good.
Okay,
It's you can even go 100-pound cardstock, Matt.
Right.
No uncoated. You got to make sure it's uncoated.
Right.
You don't want coating on.
You don't
on
want
those.
it too slick, right?
You don't want slick at all.
Right.
Right.
So and then you got a bundle tier.
You get a $15 break with this all three.
It's
covers.
good. Yep, that's a good thing. Now the sketch cover isn't part of this, so you can add it on though on checkout. Right. Like you could add it. You click.
You do get a $5 break. I only charge
yes.
20 for the blank cover.
Well, let me let people know who's not too familiar with Fund My Comic. With the way Fund My Comic works, it works by cart. So you would click this one, and then you can click this one to add your cart, and then your cart at checkout has everything.
Yeah.
So
now, it's a cart-based system. It will have Tank Ferret artwork that's not featured here. We were going to put it as the standee, but then it was kind of a cutoff. And I'm still going to do it as a standee. It's too great an image not to, but maybe not on this campaign. But it's going to be printed. One other thing we're doing is that Tank Ferret image of him with the raised trident and lightning hitting the trident in his wings and him busting out of chains because he's chained up on the splash page. And I wanted a heroic image. And I thought I could use that for the back cover. And then on the Golden Age cover, that image is going to be colored by John Dillard in gray and green and blue on like he is on the Golden Age cover. On the Dillard cover, he'll be in the burgundy and red color. On the blank and on the artist edition, he'll be done in black and white.
Nice. What's this tier here?
Drawn in tier. You can get drawn into the book.
Wow.
The one guy that backed this, well, now he's already said, I could tell.
Okay, if he's already said, then it's fine.
Yeah, Crooked Painter. I'm not going to dox him, but Crooked Painter said in Shay's a week ago, he said, what I like is a drawing tier. And actually, this is the 8th comic that he's going to be drawn into.
Wow.
Nice. All right, I was going to get Jason drawn in that. Shoot. Oh, well.
Jason could be drawn in, yes.
Oh.
It won't be in the Devil Flyer story. It'll be in the one that we're working on now, the last story, which is the big cosmic story. The bystander is like my watcher character.
Oh, okay.
Cool. And so that's going to be really wild. Like this is a possible background that I did recently. It may or may not be, but something out there like this.
Oh, I like
trippy. I want it to be trippy. Yeah.
Nice. So you got the drawn in tier, then you have this. What is this one?
Now this is something that Justin said you ought to put this in the art bundle, and it's like, no, this was kind of separate. This was early conception of Devil Flyer. Now I came up with the character, and this was too wild and out there. Devil Flyer, where he's actually kind of skull-like and a bird-like beak. And so this was and I think he's even got some name suggestions. This is a physical piece of artwork that I had of John's, and I thought if you like his artwork, you may want some of his original stuff. I don't have a lot of his original stuff,
right?
But then again, I do. I've got the file of the preliminary stuff that didn't make it in the book, like decapitations and things like that. Fun stuff in that file, and then this outlandish thing
says
here
fun,
where
like decapitations.
Decapitations are fun.
Yeah, well, in the original stories, I had one guy decapitated, and then he decapitated both. And I said, "You killed them both. How's he going to find out where his trident is?"
Yeah,
you can't question them. You got to leave somebody for questioning.
So this is an early stage of the design of Devil Flyer.
I designed the character, and this was something that he thought, why don't we go with this? And I said,
that's right. It's an early developmental stage piece. So it's before a lot of stuff was done. So that's pretty cool. And I can understand going with the skull theme in a way, mainly because he's back from the dead, so
right.
It makes sense.
We have a Rex raid, by the way.
All right.
So
Shadowhawk. How do we have a Rex raid? You didn't stream yet.
Because they're waiting on me.
See, this is what I'm telling you. Anyway.
I know.
What's this one, Rex? What's this tier here?
This is my lovely dog of 11 years, Abby, who's often seen in my lap on the show. And it's just to buy her a meal for being such a good
supporter. It's a cute artist. Baby.
And you do have some backers in this, and I think what you should do is like once you like get everything done, and like you buy whatever you buy, and then you take a photo and with Abby next to her food that you got from the campaign, or something like that. I think that'd be nice. That'd be cool, Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, that's a nice little fun thing. There you go, everybody. A great campaign, great fun stuff. Yeah. Go check it out today. Link is in the description below, as well as pinned to the top of the chat.
Well, Angela, I'm sorry, and Jason, I know I talk incessantly.
You should apologize. How dare you? You're only the guest.
I would have actually liked to heard more from Angela, not so much Jason. But
Rex, you could hear all you wanted from Angela. You had to shut up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I am very envious of Luke as being his co-host because they talk comics all the time.
Whoa.
I rarely get on Jason to talk about comics.
Luke is not my co-host. I'm not Luke's co-host. We're equal hosts.
Oh, equal host. Okay. So then
Topic list is an equal for Jimmy Reyes is a co-host.
They are
he came 3 years later. So yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, Rex. It's a joy, dude.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It's called Get to Know Your Creator. So
my whole thing is I like to keep it an hour because of rewatchability. If people see longer time formats, they get discouraged and they don't want they tend to that's way if I have rewatchability, you might get more backers. That's the whole thing.
I generally judge up watching a stream based on how long it is.
Well, yeah. I've got to say this. Thank you everybody for backing it. I mean, we went what was it, 59% already in about a day.
Yeah, you're at 59%. Yeah,
I will say you had me at the Killer Clown. I'm not much into clowns, but I don't think of any book recently that I've seen a campaign for that has had a clown yet. So I am intrigued.
So
you're a host duo, Jason,
and he will make a return. I'm really not supposed to say that, but he will make a return.
Yes.
So
even though he dies in this issue.
Rex, don't
okay, get to know your creator. That's not get to spoil your
Rex,
book.
You don't tell the ending of the story
but am I telling
your
the truth
comic
or not?
It doesn't matter. You don't do it. You just don't do it. You don't be like, this happens. No, you tell the core root element. How long have you been reading comics? You should know better.
We don't, Jason. We don't know how it's going to happen. We don't know the specific details in regards to.
No, people should back this because there's also other fun stuff, and he didn't really reveal much of anything right there.
I'm just teasing. Killer Clown. I'll be honest with you. The Killer Clown is the story for me in this book. It really is. It is a Doc Blaylock, and it's just a tight story. It's now there's others like to show people what I can do is the one I'm working on now, the more cosmic story. But the Devil Flyer story you will absolutely love, and the other features, the John Dillard Innerman story you'll love. But the Killer Clown story is the one that does it for me. That because I've got something to prove. I want people to go, this guy can write a comic book. And a good
right.
I was gonna say,
nice. There you go. There you have it. Everybody back it today. Link is pinned to the bottom of the description in the bottom. In the description
Shadowbox says he just can't help himself.
He can't, Shadow. He can't.
We didn't even hear about your shower. I'm still. You need to come back.
And come over to my channel. We're gonna be.
Yeah, go over to Rex's. Go subscribe to Devil Flyer Momentum. That is in the description as well.
Yeah.
He could talk all day about his shower.
100,000 and there will be a shower stretch go.
Oh, okay.
Please no.
No. Yeah.
Angela, are there any questions in the chat
that not to get
that Rex could talk ad nauseum about?
There are a lot of heckling going on in the chat.
Yeah, nice. As per usual.
Yeah.
Shelby.
Shelby's in the house. Oh. Some person did say that there was another campaign that closed that had a clown in it. So anyway, that was interesting.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. We don't talk about that. Anyway,
no.
Everybody like and subscribe. Angela, do you have any questions aside about the shower for Rex?
No, I don't. I've learned it quite a bit, so it's been fun having you on. Oh
yeah. If you like noir, because Doc Blaylock does noir stuff, you'll definitely get a noir feel from it.
That campaign. I think I saw a campaign about that. So yeah.
So we have one last question, Rex. What if you could work with any creator, living or dead? Who would it be?
You.
Oh, shut up! Who would it be?
Oh, warms my heart.
I'm very easily accessible, and you've asked me, and you haven't sent me anything, so it's not me. Who is it? Is it Kirby? Is it Perez? Who is it?
It would. Oh gosh, I guess it would be because Perez kind of got me into comics. I did meet him once, and I did ask him to draw something for me.
Tell me that.
Well, I knew I met Stan Lee. I met a bunch of people.
Yeah. Well, whenever you have Devil Flyer 2 out, you have to come back and talk about it. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Real.
Yeah, well, don't go anywhere, Rex. Thanks for coming by, though. Chat, thank you so much. Angela, thank you for co-hosting.
Thank you, Angela.
Come on.
Yep, everybody go back Devil Flyer and have a great one.